A stronger naira is beneficial to the Nigerian economy and to all citizens. A stronger naira will reduce the cost and size of government debt, stimulate productivity, discourage smuggling, bring down inflation, and reduce unemployment. For this to happen, the country must earn more foreign exchange. In recent times, foreign exchange earning from crude oil exports into the country's coffer has been next to nothing, hence the need to encourage non-oil exports. The Central Bank of Nigeria and the Bankers Committee last year, February, came up with the RT200 FX program to help achieve that. In this episode, we bring to you a special package on the journey so far since the initiative was introduced, as shown during the second CBN Non-Oil Export Summit in November, plus the concluding part of our expert analysis of major financial and economic policies of the Apex Bank in 2022. Stay tuned.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has announced the introduction of a new series of 200 naira, 500 naira and 1000 naira banknotes to be launched on December 15, 2022. These new banknotes will circulate side by side with the current 200 naira, 500 naira and 1000 naira banknotes, which will cease to be legal tender on January 31, 2023. Banks are now open from Monday to Saturday to accept customers' deposits. So, hurry to your banks to deposit only 200 naira, 500 naira and 1000 naira banknotes in your possession. To make it seamless, the CBN has suspended bank charges on all deposits made during this period, and there is no limit on how much an individual can deposit. Remember, the current 200 naira, 500 naira and 1000 naira banknotes remain legal tender until January 31, 2023. Do not reject it, but ensure the banknotes get to your bank before the deadline of January 31, 2023. The naira is our national pride. Let's embrace the new currency. This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN.
Welcome back. The urgent need to support the fundamentals of the Nigerian economy, diversify from dependence on oil inflows, and minimize the debilitating pressures in foreign exchange markets are the compelling reasons for the launch of the RT200 FX program last February. The initiative is designed to stimulate non-oil exports with a $200 billion foreign exchange income target in the next 3 to 5 years. Here's a special package on the journey so far.
In February 2022, the Central Bank of Nigeria, in collaboration with the Bankers Committee, launched the Race to $200 billion Foreign Exchange Repatriation Program, tagged the RT200 FX program. The program provides an opportunity to boost the country's earnings exclusively from non-oil exports over the next 3 to 5 years. The program runs on 5 key pillars. They include Value-Adding Exports Facility, Non-Oil Commodities Expansion Facility, Non-Oil Foreign Exchange Rebate Scheme, Dedicated Export Terminal Financing, and Biannual Non-Oil Export Summit.
I call on this gathering to candidly interact and make constructive and innovative suggestions towards exploring the non-oil export sector as a more sustainable means of increasing foreign exchange inflows into our economy and generating employment to spur growth in our country.
At the maiden edition of the Biannual Export Summit held in Lagos on June 16, 2022, the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, stressed the need for greater diversification of the Nigerian economy.
We can no longer continue as a country to depend on revenue from crude oil, where we have no control over price and quantity. Before we found oil, Nigeria was exporting commodities. We found oil and we all went to bed. It is time for us to get jolted and get out of bed and begin to do the right things for the good of our country, so that Central Bank of Nigeria can find the foreign exchange. In fact, people do not need to come to Central Bank of Nigeria to ask for foreign exchange to import. The banks should be able to find foreign exchange from exporters to fund import needs of Nigerians. That is what we desire.
5 months after, Stakeholders can look back to count milestones recorded under the program. Notable among the achievements of the program is the collaborative efforts by the Bankers Committee, Nexim Bank, the Nigeria Export Promotion Council (NEPC), and indigenous export firms. In 2022, a total of $4.987 billion has been repatriated into the country by non-oil exporters, higher than the $3.190 billion repatriated in 2021.
Obviously, with every new thing, you start gradually. In the second quarter, which was the first full quarter of the program, we realized over 600 million. And in the third quarter, ending in September, we are almost at $1 billion just for that quarter. So if you put it together, we are already pursuing $1.7 billion from the program. On the non-oil export inflows we've received, you see urea is now number one. We also see a lot of some of the cash crops we do export. We've brought in quite a lot of FX. And not only that, we're beginning to pay them rebates. We've paid rebates in excess of very close to 200 billion to over 174 firms. This is an incentive for them to be able to, quickly repatriate the proceeds so that we can have enough FX to be able to, address the requirements of other either manufacturers or students going to school.
In the first quarter, we have about $20 million flow into the rebate. By the second quarter, we have 622 million. By the third quarter, we have inflow of about 1.3 billion, of which 870 were transacted in the INA window. So the program has done tremendously well, and we also have customers and producers wanting to go into value chain addition, and so that they can benefit from this program.
We observed since February that beyond those who are already in the export ecosystem and who obviously have started to repatriate more money than they were repatriating before, there's been a new enthusiasm, almost a new commitment by people who have real capacity, who were not in export industry before and are suddenly now moving into the export industry and investing a reasonable amount of money. And they are not looking to export raw commodities like we were doing before. What I've seen is a massive investment in processing so that what we are exporting extract far more value for the country than when we merely exported.
I think where we are with NXPs and documented transactions, and obviously you are basically giving priority to people who are adding value. They're processing beyond just the raw things, just not cocoa beans. Maybe you're doing some value add for all the non-oil exports. That kind of customer has invested, and you'll find that those are not the kind of customers that really abuse. But I can't say to you that in any environment, whether it's in Nigeria, whether it's in developed economies, there will be a certain amount of leakage. But I think by the way it's been structured, the leakage has been greatly reduced. And yeah, I think the fact that you are giving to people who have added some value to non-oil exports has helped curb the abuse that could have happened.
The performance so far is very encouraging. We've seen exports grow to the point of 2.6 billion by half year. And if we annualize that, that will be 5.2 billion. And it's never straight line, so it's likely going to hit over 6 billion. That will be a 55% growth from last year versus the 36% growth from 2020 to 2021. And the other part of it is the rebate paid so far. 42 billion has been paid in rebates. And that means working again through, by the end of year, another to be like about 56 to 60. It could even be more because the processing is getting more advanced. When we first started, people are getting used to it. So we see it ramping up.
As more economic benefits are recorded through the program, its core objectives continue to improve access to finance for exports at single-digit interest rates, grow the country's gross domestic product, and attract new investments. In addition to this is the Export Rebate Scheme, an incentive that encourages exporters on value addition.
If you look at the turnaround time, hitherto you had people who were, food dragging, but with the incentive we've put in place, we've seen a lot of those inflows coming into the I&E window. We have a robust M&E framework in place to be able to just ensure that, we have better insight into how things are going on there. But the incentive is there. We ask all the exporters who really want to bring in their FX to take advantage of that product, and then get the rebate. But you can clearly see the effect of the rebate, and the numbers quarter on quarter have just significantly gone up.
The rebate is like a sweetener. Ever since the commencement of the rebate, we are seeing a lot more customers, exporters bringing in, repatriating. And what you see now is that they are looking through. We are even facing challenges where you see whenever rebate is paid, you see customers coming back to tell you, to challenge you and say, I didn't get rebate for my full export repatriation. So the rebate has reawakened the consciousness for exporters to bring in the flows into the market, which is helping the market.
At the heart of the program is the major shift from the heavy dependence on crude oil to a multi-product economy driven by export from agriculture, solid mineral, manufacturing, and services. Aside this, the benefits are boundless.
We're a huge populous country, we're over 210 million. We need to be able to provide jobs for our people. We have huge arable land that we can do a lot of all the cash crops, sesame seed, ginger, hibiscus. All these are opportunities. Yes, there's mechanization, but there are huge opportunities for jobs for our people.
The country earns foreign exchange either by borrowing or by earning it. So if we can earn by exporting what we produce, exporting more of what we produce and importing less of what we don't have, it will be tremendous for inflation, for cost of living, and for living standard of Nigerians.
What the central bank is saying is that exporters, intended exporters, please focus on non-oil products, all right, particularly that in which we can add value, so that at least from a valuation standpoint and the value that is brought into the country, we can continue to reap more. It makes Nigeria a lot more competitive. It basically reflects in the value of the currency. It definitely affects the quality of life and living of Nigerians, etc., and therefore it creates a much stronger currency.
If you look at the spread of the non-oil exports items, the exportable items, there's an even spread across the country. If you are looking at the northern belt, you talk about gum arabic, shea butter, hibiscus, soya bean. Then when you come to the south too, you talk about cocoa, you talk about palm oil, you talk about cassava, you talk about cashew. So there's inclusiveness in terms of this endowment. So to that extent, there's no region of the country that will be left out of it.
Being a mono-product country, the benefits of diversifying our business cannot be overemphasized. It improves the government, the country's foreign exchange earnings. It helps in diversifying the economy, which we've always worked towards, and insulates the economy from shocks arising from our mono economy, which we've been for such a long time. It improves the country's competitiveness in the global space in terms of the quality of products and services exported. Will also help to create employment, obviously, because with the value-added productions that are going on, there's a lot of employment in the factories, and there's a lot of employment in the primary production, which is the cropping.
The RT200 is aimed at diversifying the FX sources for the country. We need the FX sources to be improved so that importers will be able to have access to Forex to import goods that are required for the people, even raw materials, plant and machinery. And what happens that this increases the productive capacity of the country and increases employment and increases even tax coming to the government.
As we speak today, which is 3 years after this program started, the central bank has availed to Exim Bank 150 billion naira, which we have extended to exporters in various forms. Some are to finance trade, others are to develop along the export value chain the capacity to process.
We presently export cashew nuts and raw cocoa beans. We started with 200 million, that was around 2018, then to 500 million, and then to 1.1 billion naira, and thereafter to 1.5 billion naira. It was graduated to 2.5 billion naira last year. Our staff strength has grown both direct and indirect to about 120. Basically, from 2019 to date, we've generated about $35 million foreign exchange repatriated into the Nigeria.
Earlier, when we started with the export of raw cashew nuts, but gradually with the help of EDF funds, we were able to establish the manufacturing unit, and we are now processing the value-added product that is processed cashew. If I'm not wrong, in last 2 years, we have been able to generate $23 million till now.
We export lead ingots or lead bullions, and our export destination is Europe, primarily Spain. We have received a total of about 400 million from Nexim in this current one. Before we accessed it, we were about 15 people in our one plot of land in Ibafo. Today we sit on 3 hectares and we have a total number of about 80 persons. At full capacity, we are about $1.5 million per month. Since we started accessing Nexim loan last year, we must have generated in excess of $15 million.
We are exporting all type of aluminum alloys like ADC12, LM24. Right now we are doing only one time, and this 2.5 billion naira. It helps a lot of help. Now after this we increase our production, we increase our export, and also we increase our labor. 20 million USD per month.
We export recycled, or what they call secondary aluminum ingots. Secondary aluminum ingots is processed from scrap metals or scrap aluminum into various grades of aluminum alloy. Our primary export destination is in Southeast Asia, Japan, China, Thailand, and Indonesia. In our first year, when we took the first EDF, we did about 4 million USD. The second year, we did about 7 million USD, and now I'm sure by the end of this year we should be in excess of 12 million. Between the first time we took the first EDF and now, we have done well over 300% in the number of staffs we have employed. So as we're speaking now, we have directly about 320 people working here. So we have other hundreds of people working indirectly.
Already, over 242 billion naira has been disbursed to 145 firms under the non-oil sector financing. As more of these get underway, the CBN and key stakeholders are optimistic that the export story of Nigeria will be rewritten. Indeed, there is hope that exports will contribute about 50% of the country's foreign reserve earnings in the next 5 years.
Thanks for staying tuned. You're watching From the CBN, a weekly program that brings to you reports and expert analysis of the actions, policies, events, and economic initiatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. For our last episode of the year 2022, we paid a visit to the Chief Executive Officer of Kari Asset Management Limited, Mr. Johnson Chukwu, for his expert view on key financial and economic policies of the Central Bank of Nigeria during the year. Here's a concluding part of that interview. The Central Bank of Nigeria hosted the maiden edition of the International Financial Inclusion Conference in Abuja, where the Deputy Governor for Financial System Stability, Mrs. Aisha Ahmad, mentioned that financial inclusion is beyond having a bank account. It extends into insurance, pension, the capital market, credit, investment, and so on. And the target, because 5 documents were released on that day, one of which is increasing the financial inclusion target to 95% by 2024. Do you think that is ambitious?
Wow, that is quite ambitious. If you look at the population distribution of the country, and you look at those who live in some very rural areas, and you also look at the education and attainment, a 95% financial inclusion target in 2 years looks quite overly ambitious. I don't have any doubt we're going to get a point where we'll achieve that. But recognize the fact that we still have a huge size of the population who are completely not engaged in any viable economic activity, and therefore have no compelling need to engage with financial system. You consider the fact that you have over 20 million people who are at school age who are not in school. They will soon become adults. They have no form of formal education, and then they basically eke out a living. That you have to consider. How do you bring them into the financial system? So you have people who live in very remote localities. That setting up a financial institution there would be a very expensive cost. But hopefully with technology now, where people can carry out transactions virtually, probably financial system will get to penetrate those areas. But you also look at the level of education and attainment. So I think it's good to have such ambition. For me, it's quite ambitious, but we should continue to work towards 100% financial inclusion. So if the government has set it, the Central Bank has set a target of 95%, yes, but the timeline is where I have challenges with. Because I think a 2-year period, of course, with the introduction of the cash without limits, it will further compel more people to embrace the banks. If you look at the other segments of the financial system or other subsectors of the financial system, take for instance the pension fund industry. We've been trying to drive micro pension. It's not gotten traction. Okay, because it's micro pension that would be able to appeal to people who don't have formal employment. Then, it's similarly in the insurance industry, they're also trying to drive micro insurance, which has also not attained any traction. Then, if you look at the formal segments of both subsectors, the pension industry is focused on those who are in full employment. So, and as long as we're not increasing the labor force, I mean, not the labor force, those who are employed, then you are not likely to quickly increase those who will have a relationship with the pension fund administrators. The insurance industry still has to deal with the issue of public trust, which is still weak. So they need to address that. Then capital market is largely for those who understand investment, who are surplus units, not for those who are making out a living. So in effect,
what about other investment options?
Yeah, other investment options, real estate. When you talk about investment, remember you're talking about a surplus unit. So not the deficit unit that you talk about investment to. The other sub-segments are like the microfinance banks. Those are the ones that brought strong opportunities to expand financial inclusion. So I think it's something that the central bank must continue to drive. But the traditional financial institutions like the conventional banks, because of cost structure, there is also some limitations to their penetration in some rural areas. But like I said, good thing is that digitization and digital technology is going to make even those services that used to be rendered physically to be rendered virtually. But in summary, I think a 95% financial inclusion in Nigeria in 2 years is over.
But we're already at 63%.
There's a lot of difference between 63% and 95%.
It's a wrap on today's package from the CBN. Report unresolved banking issues to the CBN Consumer Protection Department using the email cpd@cbn.gov.ng. Attach relevant documents. Call the CBN Contact Center on the phone line +234 700 2255 226. Local call rates may apply. Write to us through the email address fromthecbn@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter for updates and to watch uploaded episodes of the program. We invite you to join us again next time. I'm William Isidada, wishing you a prosperous new year. Stay safe.